Paul McCartney, one of the richest musicians in history. But behind the fame and fortune lies a life filled with shocking twists, untold stories, and moments he would rather forget. What shaped this legendary career and what secrets are hidden? Check out 8 fascinating facts about Paul McCartney, the last of which will surprise you. Paul McCartney, shocking scandals, million-dollar fines. In 1969, Paul McCartney married photographer Linda Eastman. A happy marriage that lasted nearly 30 years until Linda died of breast cancer in 1998. This loss left a huge hole in Paul's life, causing him to live alone for many years after. In 2002, Paul married former model Heather Mills, but this marriage quickly became a media disaster. After only 6 years, the two divorced bitterly, leading to a long legal battle with a compensation claim of up to $250 million. After many disputes, the British court ruled that Paul had to pay $48.6 million to Heather Mills, one of the most expensive divorces in entertainment history. Paul McCartney was notable not only for his music, but also for his rebellious lifestyle, especially his public support for marijuana. Since 1964, he had been a regular marijuana user and was arrested several times for possession of the drug. The most shocking incident occurred in 1980 when Paul was arrested in Japan for carrying 219 grams of marijuana. He was detained for 9 days before being deported from the country. But even after this incident, Paul did not give up his habit. In addition to marijuana, Paul also admitted to using cocaine and LSD, citing the need for creative inspiration. These habits caused him to be repeatedly denied a visa to the United States until 1973. At the height of his career, Paul McCartney was known for being arrogant, even somewhat snobbish. He once caused controversy when he declared that the Beatles were greater than Elvis Presley, causing fans of both artists to argue for many. After the Beatles broke up in 1970, Paul continuously made statements attacking John Lennon, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. He asserted that he was the most important member of the band, the one who contributed the most, and that he was the one who kept the Beatles alive for as long as possible. These statements caused outrage within the group, especially John Lennon and George Harrison, who publicly criticized Paul for being arrogant, selfish, and controlling. From a musical genius to a controversial icon, Paul McCartney has always been at the center of scandals that have shaken the world. Was he a misunderstood genius, or was he really a dark character that the public never knew about? Do you think Paul McCartney is a misunderstood genius? Let's dive into the untold struggles behind his glamorous life. Paul McCartney's secret, a dark side that few know. Paul McCartney, a living icon of world music, legend of the Beatles. With more than 600 million records sold worldwide, he not only changed the face of modern music, but also accumulated a huge fortune of up to $1.2 billion. That puts him in the ranks of the richest celebrities on the planet. But is the life of a legend really all about glamour? Behind the wealth and fame, there is a dark truth that few people expect. The temptations of fame led Paul McCartney to the path of addiction and substance abuse, almost ruining his career and life. From a boy in a poor family, Paul McCartney became the owner of a $1 million villa, luxury yacht, and jet. But no one expected that this music legend grew up in a poor working-class family in the port city of Liverpool, England. On June 18, 1942, little James Paul McCartney cried out at birth. No one could have guessed that the child would write a great page in the history of world music. His father, Jim McCartney, a trumpet and piano player, turned the family's small house into a space filled with music. It was from here that Paul's musical talent began to be nurtured. But his childhood was not only filled with joyful melodies. Tragedy struck when Paul was only 14 years old. His mother, Mary, passed away from a cerebral embolism. The death of his beloved mother not only left an inconsolable pain, but also pushed the McCartney family into financial difficulties. However, instead of giving up, Paul McCartney turned his grief into motivation, choosing music as a way out of the pain. His father saw his son's potential and encouraged him to practice piano every day. But Paul didn't stop there. He taught himself guitar and drums, gradually creating a solid musical foundation that would lead him to future success. From a poor boy who lost his mother, how could Paul McCartney rise to become one of the richest artists in music history? What is the secret behind his success? And what are the dark corners of Paul McCartney's lavish life that few people know about? Paul McCartney at 82, a shocking transformation. At 82, he is no longer the arrogant playboy with drug scandals and arrogant statements. Paul McCartney now lives a quieter life, cherishes his past, admits without the Beatles, he would not have everything. Although his voice is no longer as resonant as it was at its peak, he has not stopped. Paul continues to write, tour, and receive enthusiastic support from millions of fans. On 26 February 2025, he announced his upcoming book, Wings, the Story of a Band on the Run, which is scheduled for release on 4th November 2025. Edited by historian Ted Whittam, the book will provide an intimate look at his post-Beatles career with Wings, revealing never-before-told stories of his journey in the 1970s. Away from the limelight, Paul McCartney enjoys a low-key lifestyle with his third wife, Nancy Shevell, a successful businesswoman. The couple lives in a $15 million penthouse in New York, where they have been happily married for 13 years. He has also completely given up stimulants, maintaining a healthy lifestyle with a regular workout regime. However, wherever he is, a part of Paul's heart is always with Liverpool FC. A native of Merseyside, he has always had a strong love for his hometown club. Even at Anfield, the Beatles' music is still played at halftime, becoming an integral part of Liverpool football culture. Paul McCartney is more than just a musical legend. He is a symbol of luxury, class, and undeniable influence. Comment Paul if you like him. Fast cars, classic icons, and one tragic accident left Paul speechless. Let's take a ride through his insane multi-million-dollar car collection. Paul McCartney's car collection worth over $4 million. Paul McCartney is not only a music legend, but also a true car enthusiast, respected by collectors around the world. And among them, there was a car tragedy that made Paul so angry that he cut off his wife for a week. Let's explore. Once dubbed a rocket on wheels, the Chevrolet Corvette C5 is a masterpiece of the American automobile industry in the late 20th century. With a price of $50,000, the car offers the perfect combination of sharp fiberglass design and outstanding performance. If the Corvette C5 represents American muscle power, the Aston Martin DB5 is the definition of sophistication, class, and British history. Valued at $3 million, Bond fans will definitely recognize this car immediately because it is the model associated with the legendary Spice. However, Paul McCartney eventually decided to part with the DB5 and upgrade to a more luxurious version, the Aston Martin DB6, at a price of $815,000. This was no longer just a sports car, it was a mobile living room, luxurious and comfortable. In 1975, Paul McCartney decided to expand his collection with an Italian masterpiece, the Lamborghini Gestura Spada, worth $250,000. Designed by the legendary Marcello Gandini, it was one of only 575 cars in the world. However, the Spada became one of the most tragic cars in Paul's collection. One day, Paul lent the car to his wife, Linda McCartney. But Linda accidentally left the handbrake on, causing the Lamborghini to plunge straight into a pond and sink right before Paul's eyes. The consequences? The car was severely damaged, and Paul McCartney was so angry that he did not speak to Linda for a week, even though they still lived in the same house. After years of being passionate about speed, Paul McCartney suddenly had a drastic change in his car preference. He gradually moved away from powerful supercars, switching to environmentally friendly cars. The car that Paul McCartney uses most often today is the Lexus LS 600 HL, worth $120,000. That good. A masterpiece that combines advanced technology and timeless luxury. Is this really the end of Paul's passion for speed? Or is there another secret card in his garage? How did a poor boy from Liverpool billion-dollar empire? This is the unbelievable journey of Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney, the journey to a $1.2 billion rock empire. Paul McCartney, one of the richest and most powerful artists on the planet with a fortune of $1.2 billion. But how could a boy from Liverpool conquer the world? In 1957, a fateful encounter changed Paul's life forever. During a small performance, he met John Lennon, and the musical spark between them ignited strongly. No one could have guessed that from that moment, a music empire would be born. Just 3 years later, the Beatles officially appeared and quickly dominated the global music scene. By early 1964, the name The Beatles had become an unprecedented phenomenon. 183 million records were sold in the US alone, 600 million worldwide. These numbers helped them become the best-selling band of all time. At the height of his career, Paul McCartney earned $50 to $70 million a year, a huge sum at the time. In 1965, Queen Elizabeth I awarded the Beatles a member of the Order of the British Empire, MBE, an unprecedented honor for a band. And it didn't stop there. Paul continued to write and co-write timeless songs, from Yesterday Can't Buy Me Love to I Want to Hold Your Hand. Yesterday alone has become the most covered song in history, with over 2,200 different recordings. And incredibly, every time an artist performed the song, Paul received additional royalties, helping him maintain his position as one of the most successful songwriters of all time. Just from royalties alone, Paul earned an average of $10 million a year, a figure that many artists cannot reach in their entire lifetime. Today, with a fortune of $1.2 billion, Paul McCartney is enjoying a life of luxury, from million-dollar mansions, luxurious yachts, to private jets. A living monument of the music industry, a legend who is not only rich in money but also dominates the world with immortal melodies. But behind that glitz, what is there that the whole world doesn't know? Watch until the end of the video to discover the dark side of fame, the never-before-revealed secrets about the life of Paul McCartney. From lavish penthouses to hidden countryside retreats, Paul McCartney's real estate portfolio is worth millions. But one property holds a secret few know about. Inside Paul McCartney's real estate empire, which was then estimated to be worth nearly $900,000 and has since risen to nearly $2 million. This was not just a house, but a peaceful paradise, where Paul found tranquility in the midst of a noisy life. But if the East Hampton mansion is a place of peace, his Beverly Hills mansion is a masterpiece of luxury. In 2001, Paul spent $4 million to buy a top-notch Los Angeles property, hidden in the prestigious Beverly Hills area, where only the world's richest people can own, designed by architectural legend Paul R. Williams. This mansion is a symbol of Hollywood's golden age. In 2015, Paul McCartney shocked the world when he bought a $15 million penthouse in the heart of York City. Located on the 15th and 16th floors of a building designed by the renowned architect Horace Ginsburg in 1967, the penthouse is surrounded by floor-to-ceiling glass walls, offering million-dollar views of New York Central Park. But this luxury doesn't come cheap. The monthly maintenance fee alone is $113,000, a figure that only billionaires can afford. After days of being immersed in the spotlight and the glitz of the city, Paul McCartney retreated to nature in a $10 million retreat in Tucson, Arizona. This is not just a 190-acre ranch, but a separate world where he escaped the public eye to find peace and artistic inspiration. Nestled at the foot of the Rincon Mountains, the estate embraces the majestic natural landscape of rolling mountains and vast deserts. The main house is built in a traditional adobe style, blending into the natural environment while still being fully equipped with modern amenities. The highlight of the interior space is a $200,000 grand piano, where Paul sometimes sits to play nostalgic tunes with his family, from castles in the heart of the city to retreats in the wilderness. Paul McCartney owns more than just real estate. He owns Dreams, a yacht dedicated to his late wife. Paul McCartney's luxury lifestyle is beyond imagination. Paul McCartney's million-dollar private jets and yachts. With a billion-dollar fortune, Paul McCartney easily owns a $40 million Gulfstream IV, a flying palace with luxurious interiors, reclining seats, and state-of-the-art soundproofing, allowing him to travel around the world without refueling. This is more than just a vehicle. It is a symbol of the power of a music legend. But if the Gulfstream IV is Paul's wings, then the $5 million Muse yacht is where he finds peace. Formerly named Lady Linda, this boat was renamed in memory of his late wife, Linda McCartney. With a sophisticated design, 5 luxurious cabins, jacuzzi, and large deck, Muse is the perfect resort in the middle of the ocean. From the sky to the sea, Paul McCartney not only owns luxurious assets, but also turns them into personal symbols filled with memories and power. He's not just a rock star. Paul McCartney is a global icon of generosity, activism, and influence. Here's how he's making a difference in the world. Paul McCartney, humanitarian cultural icon. With his huge fortune from music and business, He has donated tens of millions of dollars to charitable activities, affirming his position not only on stage but also in the humanitarian field. Along with his first wife, Linda McCartney, Paul is a longtime vegetarian and animal rights activist. He is an ardent supporter of PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, has donated at least $11 million to support this organization. Not stopping there, Paul is also a patron of the Adopt a Minefield organization. In total, Paul McCartney is said to have donated hundreds of millions of dollars to more than 90 charities, including nature conservation, animal protection, and child care. But McCartney didn't just define the pop rock genre, he also inspired countless generations of musicians. Ed Sheeran once admitted that the two most important moments in his life were meeting Queen Elizabeth II and Paul McCartney. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift revealed that she learned the secrets of organizing concerts, choosing set lists, and creating the perfect audience experience from the legend. He represented the spirit of freedom, love, and change of the hippie generation, leaving a mark that transcends time. His philosophy and music inspired millions of young people, urging them to pursue creativity, identity, and freedom in life. What do you find most impressive about Paul McCartney? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Like this video, subscribe so you never miss a new story about the world's most fascinating people.